Let me know when the recording begins, please. Yes, thank you. It began. So we take up the new chapter, Red Chief, The Ransom of Red Chief by O. Henry, page 92. And this is the first chapter we'll do after the half yearlies. Okay? This is the first chapter for your final term. Come to page 92. It's a lovely, hilarious lesson where a young child has been kidnapped and the kidnappers have a really tough time dealing with that child. Okay, so backbones are straight. Let us read the story now. We were down south in Alabama, Bill, Discroll, and myself, when this kidnapping idea struck us. So underline the name of the first person that you come to know is Bill Driscoll. Okay. So these both of them, Bill Driscoll and the narrator, one fine day they decided for a kidnapping. Now, why did they do so? Let us know as the story proceeds. All we know about them is that they were in South in Alabama. Please underline the place. Bill and me had a joint capital of about $600 and we needed just $2,000 more to buy some land. So they just had $600 with them and they needed nearly $2,000 more so that they could have their own land to begin up their work. Okay, so please underline $600 and also at the same time $2,000, just for the reference to context if now and then anything is asked from within the chapter. There was a town down there called Summit. Now, while they were in Alabama, there was a town which was known as Summit. Okay, a kidnapping project ought to do better at Summit, since there the love of children was strong and it was a semi-rural community. They couldn't get after us with anything stronger than constables. So now, why did they choose Summit? The reason was Summit was a small town. People were all in all very loving, very caring, attached to their own families. So these two men, they thought, okay, if we do a kidnapping in this small little town, it'll be easy for us. Firstly, because the parents are very attached. All parents are attached to their children. But then in a metro city, half of the time the parents are in their job, they won't even know that the child is missing. Okay, whereas this was a small town, the people were having extra love, care, and attention for the children. So they knew that doing here will be easier. Then the second reason was, if anything untoward happened, they knew that the highest authority who would check us here will be constables. The constables would be there, जो कि easily बचा जा सकता है. So they knew that they will not be in any kind of legal problem also. Did you understand? Okay. Now we selected for our victim the only child of a prominent citizen named Ebenezer Dorset. Please underline Ebenezer Dorset. So now these kidnappers, these two men, Bill Driscoll and the narrator, they decided, bhai, kisko pakde? Whom should we kidnap? So they looked for a prominent figure, the one who was very popular in this small town, and his name was Ebenezer. So they thought that they will go for the child of this person, and he had this child as the only child. He had no other issues. Okay, so the father was a respectable man in the building trade. So Ebenezer Dorset was a very prominent man among the business people. He was a prominent figure. He was well known in that small little town, and that was the reason why these two kidnappers chose him to be the person for whose child they would kidnap. Okay, the kid was a boy of 10. Bill and me figured that Ebenezer would melt down for a ransom of $2,000. So now they knew that the small little child, he was 10 years old, and they knew that Ebenezer would easily fall into his knees to get the payment done. So they decided that they will kidnap this small boy. About 2 miles from summit was a little mountain covered with dense cedar. Behind this mountain was a cave. There we stored provisions. One evening we drove in a cart past old Dorset's house. The kid was in the street throwing rocks at a kitten. So finally, they made their paper arrangements. They decided that they will kidnap this Ebenezer Dorset's son. And next to the summit, the place called Summit, there was a mountain cliff which had a number of cedar trees. So they kept all their kidnapping equipments there in that area. And then they took a cart and went for a ride near that area where Dorset lived. And he saw that the kid whom they were wanting to kidnap, he was playing outside. And you know what he was doing? He was holding the pebbles and the rocks and he was hitting the poor little kitten. मतलब सोचो कितना जंगलाट बच्चा था वो, है ना? मार रहा था बेचारे बिल्ली के बच्चे को झमाझम. Okay, so this was the scene. Now they saw it and they, hey little boy, says Bill, would you like to have a bag of candy and a ride? Now they are giving him lalach, okay? So now just to, pop him up towards him, they are telling him, listen boy, would you like to go for a ride? And we'll give you candies as well, okay? The boy almost hit Bill in the eye with a piece of brick. When Bill was asking this at that time, while hitting the kitten, as Bill was asking, ki chaloge hamare sang, let's go for a ride on a cart and I'll give you candies. That very moment, he threw the pebble or a rock and it was just about to hit that Bill, the other kidnapper. Okay. That boy put up a fight with a bear, but at last we got him down in the cart and drove away. So finally, usko badi jaddojahad karke, by all hook and crook, they finally got him into the cart. It was a tough time. He gave them a tough time and finally they drove away. We took him up to the cave and I tied the horse in the wood. After dark, I drove back the cart to the little village where we had hired it and walked back to the mountain. So now after reaching the cave, they settled the boy. Then they also tied the horse next to the place. And then with that, they took the cart back from where they had borrowed, they returned it, and then they came back walking all the way to the mountain. Okay. When I got back, there was a fire burning at the entrance of the cave, and the boy was watching a pot of boiling coffee with 2 tail feathers stuck on his red hair. Can you see the picture on your right hand? Can you see the 2 pictures? The tribal picture.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are the 2 in his hair, and at the very same time, a pot was burning, a fire was lit up in front of a cave, and what was boiling in it? The coffee. Now, do you have any idea why this child had put up these 2 feathers on his head? Very simple. Have you ever seen a tribal scene where they put up a huge fire and then a pot is burning and the tribals are dancing all around it? So just seeing that pot burning, it got an idea for him. He got an idea that he would put up a feather and he was thinking himself as a tribal. Okay. Okay. So he had, when Bill came back, he saw that this boy was like this. Okay. Now, he pointed a stick at me and said, "Ha, do you dare to enter the camp of Red Chief, the terror of the plains?" So now when that small little boy saw Bill coming, he said, "Hey, tumhari himmat kaise hui ki tum Red Chief ke area mein aaye?" Like this. He was posing and enacting as if he was the chief of something, or, he was calling himself as the Red Chief. And this means he was asking, why did you enter? Whereas he was a kidnapper. He should have been, the boy should have been scared of him. But it was just the vice versa. He was not scared. Okay. He's all right. He's all right now, said Bill, rolling up his trousers and examining some bruises on his legs. So now he's saying, seeing his narrator, sorry, it was the narrator who had come. So seeing the narrator, Bill said, no, now he's okay. And he started putting his sleeves up, and then there were bruises all around. Who must have given those bruises? Bruises. It was a tough time for Bill to manage while narrator had got the part and all. Okay, we are playing Indian. I am old Hank, the trapper, Red Chief's captive. That kid can kick hard. So now this kid, small little boy who had been kidnapped, he was acting as if he was the head, the Red Chief, and the poor Bill, the person, the kidnapper. He was made a trapper. He was being trapped. He was called the old Hank, and he was to be trapped by the little boy. Okay, so they were playing a game. Yes, sir. That boy seemed to be having the time of his life. He immediately named me Snake Eye, the spy, and announced that I was to be broiled at the stake at the rising of the sun. So now, as soon as the boy saw the other kidnapper, he said, "Okay, so you will be Snake Eye." He was naming them as characters. He was behaving as if he was the boss and these two were the victims. Whereas actually the kidnappers were the ones who should have been more, strong. But it was here the boy and he was giving a tough time to these kidnappers. Clear? Then we had supper. He filled his mouth full of meat and bread and gravy and began to talk. He made a during dinner speech something like this. So now while they were having dinner, he had all the food which was there, and while eating that food in his mouth, he was also jabbering. And this is what a lecture he gave. I like this fine. I never camped out before, but I had a pet cat and I was 9 last birthday. I hate to go to school. Rats ate up 16 of Jimmy Talbot's aunt's speckled hen's eggs. Are there any real Indians in these woods? I want some more gravy. I whipped Ed Walker twice Saturday. Why are oranges round? Have you got beds to sleep on in this cave? Amos Murray has got 6 toes. A parrot can talk, but a monkey or a fish can't. So now this was just a narration of the endless jabbering that he was doing. It had not been making any sense, but at the very same time, this paragraph indicates that he was continuously saying something or the other, which did not have any connection with the first talk. While I was reading, there is no continuation of any talk sequence. Did you notice that? So this particular paragraph is just how randomly he was behaving. Whatever was coming in his mouth, he was talking. Clear? Like say here, Amos Murphy, he has got 6 toes. Now even the kidnappers do not know who is Amos Murphy. But then he was Amos Murray. So they did not know him. But then it was just a continuous verbal display of his words, which had no sense also. Clear? Now this paragraph at the very same time shows us that he was not scared. That is why he is so openly talking. So this paragraph tells us that the boy was not scared of these kidnappers. Clear? So we stop here for today and we'll continue in our next class next time. Take care. Bye, class.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Have a nice day, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
We will do the word meanings. Please make sure you do the word meanings in your copies and also read the chapter till the place we have done. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.